I just bought a brand new telescope and I feel like I already have to replace everything on it. The problem isn't usually that the telescope is bad, but everything around it becomes a source of friction. So let's talk about some of the most common new telescope headaches and why they happen. Over the past few months, we've had some new members join our astronomy club who are very enthusiastic, and they've been coming to our programs, and they're really excited about getting into the hobby, but they've had a lot of frustrations with their new telescope. They had just bought this brand new telescope, and now we're dealing with the frustrations of some weak link accessories that came along with it. What really frustrated me was hearing them say, "We had just bought this telescope, what on it doesn't need replaced already?" Modern telescopes have really crossed the line of mass production. The optics that you can get from even the least expensive mass-produced telescopes are very consistent and generally good. However, most of the time these companies are producing great optics, but the surrounding accessories that they provide with it are optimized for cost and not for overall usability, and so they can actually get pretty frustrating to use at times. You also see them bundle products together, sometimes ones that you may not necessarily need, but add to the list of things included in the kit so that it looks a little bit more marketable. I'd say the top two common areas for frustration are number one in mounts, and number two would be finder scope options. Very often, telescope mounts are undersized for the equipment, making them very wobbly and challenging to use. Many times these telescopes will come with a simple straight through finder or a real chintzy plastic red dot finder. That makes it frustrating for you to locate objects if you're not familiar with how to use them. Using a telescope, you're precisely aiming at something that's very far away, so having an unstable mount can really increase the frustration you're experiencing when you can't point accurately or track things across the sky. This doesn't just plague modern beginner scopes, but also high-end telescopes, and really is something that you're going to see all across the industry. In my experience, I've bought some beginner's telescopes that have come with very poorly made plastic eyepieces that even had plastic lenses in them and just didn't function all that well. But alternatively, when I bought my top-of-the-line 8-inch Schmidt-Cassegrain telescope, that telescope came with a poorly made 40mm Plossl. I would have rather had them not include that eyepiece at all with the telescope and just save my money. So you can't always trust that the manufacturers are going to be giving you good pairings and bundles when you buy stuff. Fortunately, these are generally only weak points and they aren't selling you total garbage. This ultimately does turn some beginners away, which is really unfortunate because they're purchasing a telescope kit expecting to get something that they can use right out of the box, and they're having frustrations with some of the cost-saving measures that are bundled inside. A pretty safe assumption that with any telescope that you purchase, the surrounding accessories that it comes with are not going to be top of the line. If you're frustrated with your new telescope, it doesn't mean you made a bad choice, and it certainly doesn't mean that you need to go out and buy all sorts of upgrades right out of the gate. Oftentimes, one or two targeted upgrades can significantly improve your observing experience. And oftentimes there's inexpensive mods or hacks that you can do with stuff you've got lying around your house to make these a little more user-friendly. Or you can just learn to get joy out of it as it is. Essentially, anybody that you talk to that's been in this hobby has always started with equipment that was not the greatest at the beginning, but early beginner's equipment should be enough to give you the spark to go out and dig a little bit deeper. I couldn't close out a video like this without putting in a plug for having you go out and take a look at your local astronomy club. These groups are very helpful and friendly and always looking for new enthusiastic members. The members of these groups have been in your shoes before. They can show you some tips and tricks on how to get the most out of what you have already. Also, a lot of these people have spare equipment lying around, and there's really good opportunities for you to maybe buy some upgrades from them at discounted prices. In future videos, I plan on diving deeper into a lot of these equipment woes and hope that you'll continue to tune in by liking and subscribing to Night Sky Voyager. This is Trevor wishing you clear skies.